of a buddy system, is that right? I don't know if I'm calling it the right thing, but Jana, how does that work?
We each have what we call a little buddy, or a couple of them. There's 4 older girls, and we have some of the younger ones that we just help with keeping an eye on them whenever we're out and about in a large crowd, or in the morning helping them pick out their outfit and straighten their hair. And so they're fairly well behaved.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I'm just getting into like doing videos at night now for some reason. I don't know what's happened. I used to spend my afternoons getting everything done, and now it's like I end up in that, it's by 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I need to film. Haha, just kidding. So I apologize if things are getting out later than normal. It's been a weird month. I can't wait for July to be over, to be honest. It started off, you know, with the holidays, and then we had work on our patio, and so I just never felt like I got into a rhythm this month with content, with stories, with everything. And obviously it's summertime, so I am also so not motivated. Does anyone else feel that way in the summer? You're just like, I worked all year. Why do I need to work in the summer? You know, that kind of thing. Anyways, one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was Josh Duggar, because some of you guys yesterday were asking about his appeals. Well, we have some news today, and let's talk about that. Before I get into all of that, I wanted to just bring up something super quick. For some reason, and I don't know why, a lot of my subscribers have been leaving me comments like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting my notifications, or weird, I got unsubscribed. And I know that does happen sometimes. I don't know why. YouTube is weird. So do me a huge favor, and just, if you are subscribed and you feel like you've been unsubscribed, check to make sure that you're subscribed. If you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe. But just make sure that you see if you are subscribed, hit the button if you are not, and then turn the notifications on so you know when I have new content loading. And always give this video's thumbs up. I don't know why this has been happening. It's like been since May. I've been getting messages like this from my followers. Okay, so next, let's talk about what's happening with Josh. Yesterday, I talked to you guys about this video, about the fine. So I was telling you about how Jim Bob might not want to pay the fine unless he's absolutely at the end of the rope and he has to, or same with Josh. And we talked about the car lot and how it's weird that he was not reporting a lot of revenue or having a lot of goods there, and it doesn't seem like he was making a lot of money at the car lot or moving a lot of cars. He didn't have a very high inventory. So we also talked about how, you know, they closed a bunch of businesses and Anna was selling off properties, and it came to a head where they looked at all of his financials and said, based on this, you owe us a fine of $50,000. And then they decided that he needed to pay it now, and he hasn't paid it yet. So now a lien has been placed on the house of the Duggars. I got this email from someone that actually was in the IBLP, and they were talking about the Financial Freedom Seminar, and another component of that is that parents are not supposed to lend money to their kids, and they're not, because then they're unequally yoked to their children and they're bonded, and there's a bondage in Satan and stuff like that. So that might be why he's not going to leave his money to his kids, or wouldn't give money to his kids, but that doesn't make sense because they move money around all the time, and I don't know. I don't feel like Jim Bob actually applies all the things that he learns in the IBLP. He seems to march to the beat of his own drum, but there's something in the Financial Freedom Seminar about unequal yokeness and debt of children, something like that. If any of you are former IBLPers, let me know. So there's the outstanding lien that he has to pay, which is the $50,000, and he has an open appeal in the appeals court in the United States government, okay? So he filed an appeal within the 2 weeks of his sentence and his judgment, okay? And that you have to file an initial intention of appealing, and his brief is due in the beginning of August. Well, now his attorneys are asking for an extension and a request for a delay. And it's interesting because there's always a reason, but delays are normal. But this is what Justin Gelfand has written. Appellate Joshua Duggar by and through his undersigned counsel, respectfully requests an extension of time within which he may file his opening brief in this case. Counsel for the United States does not oppose this request. Duggar is appealing his one-count conviction following a criminal jury trial. Duggar's opening brief is currently due on August 1st, 2022, so it was due in 3 days. Given the length of transcripts arising out of this jury trial and the complexity of possible issues on appeal, and the need for undersigned counsel to confer with Duggar, who is in custody in Texas, Duggar respectfully requests an additional 30 days within which to file his opening brief. This is Duggar's first request for an extension of time, and this request is not intended to hinder or delay the proceedings. Undersigned counsel conferred with counsel in the United States who confirmed that the United States does not oppose this motion. Wherefore, Duggar respectfully requests this motion for a 30-day extension of time to file his opening brief be granted, and that any further and just be granted, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So they wanted an extension because they say that the transcripts, which they've had for months, are so extensive and they don't know what they're going to choose for why they're going to appeal the case. I get the sense, like with all of his other delays, that they don't have a lot to work with. And this is just a delay to delay the inevitable. In the trial, things that Justin brought up that he felt were issues where there was like a Brady's violation, where he felt like the government withheld emails that Caleb Williams had sent to them. There was also an argument about some sort of his defense wasn't allowed to call Caleb Williams, and which wasn't true. There was all these different times he tried to bring up Brady violations or other constitutional violations that he felt were happening in the case and in the trial. I don't think that, based on the fact that the judge ruled on that they objected again after his trial, and the judge denied that. So the judge denied the Brady's and ethics and all of that stuff, and he said no when they asked for a new trial or an acquittal. So I assumed that that's what they would do for the appeal, but I don't know if that's what they're going to do because the judge already shot it down. The appeal has to do with some procedural issues within the trial itself, whether it's a violation of his constitutional rights, on ineffective counsel. I mean, that's one that is used a lot on appeals. I literally thought that their appeal would be about Caleb Williams and the Brady violation, but maybe not. Either way, every time that Josh has asked for an extension, nothing good has come from it because he just comes up with a lot of fluff that means nothing. But either way, because he's in Texas now, which, mind you, he's only been in Texas for less than a month. And now that he's there, maybe he's been there just for a month. I don't know. Not very long. They had a whole month in Arkansas where they could have been working on this, but they didn't. Who am I to say anything? I mean, Justin does have other clients, but they knew he was going to Texas this whole time. And Travis Story was in Arkansas that whole time. Whatever, you guys. Anyways, they want a delay and they want 30 days. Well, generally when it comes to this case, these delays have been granted, but the appeals court didn't grant the full. So they allowed an extension, but they did not give him 30 days. He actually gets 3 weeks because they gave him a date of July, or let's see, what did they say? They did it in part, and he has until August 22nd, 2022. So they wanted until August 28th. So instead of a 30-day delay, they're giving him like 3 weeks. So 21 days. So they're doing, like, they cut it off. Like, you get 3 extra weeks. We're not giving you a full month. So it says the appellate's motion for an extension of time and file the brief is granted in part, and they have until August 22 to file. So he's going to get 3 extra weeks versus 30 days. Not as generous as Judge Brooks. The appeals court is a completely different beast. They have to put in their initial briefs. And then once they actually get before the appeals judges and the justices, they only get like 15 minutes. They don't get a very long time. I don't know if it's 15 minutes, but they don't get a long time to argue. So these appeals don't usually go in the favor of the convicted party. It's very hard to overturn a case. And if anyone followed this case, you know that Judge Brooks erred on the side of caution throughout all of it. to the extent that I think that he gave him an even lower number than what was recommended, or even comparable for his charges and his factors, because I think he didn't want to have an appeal on his sentence. So I feel like Judge Brooks was very fair given the magnitude of the situation, but the appeals court, I don't know what they're going to come up with. Like, I can't see this getting overturned. It's a normal part of the process if someone pleads not guilty and they truly believe that they're innocent, to go through the appeals process. Not all cases go through appeals. Just remember that 92% of all of the cases end up with a conviction, and most people end up taking a plea deal with the federal government. So those that take a plea deal will not go through the appeals process. So for the small majority that do go through the appeals process, most are unsuccessful on cases in the criminal side. So Josh's attorneys, I think, are just asking for a delay just for a delay. Like, they just need more time to come up with nothing. Because remember how they needed more time to come up with his sentencing memorandum, and it was because they needed to look at different circumstances, and their argument was that he had people that needed and depended on him financially. That didn't work out so well. Judge Brooks was not moved by that. So, long story short, Josh Duggar asks for a 30-day delay. His attorneys need more time, and the appellate court was like, we'll give you about 3 weeks, not 30 days. Do you think they're going to find anything that we missed? Do you think there's anything that happened in this trial that's questionable or could potentially be overturned, the conviction? The Duggars are landing on and literally staking everything on that this is going to get overturned. I mean, I spoke to a source that said, like, everything around them, they all believe he's going to get an appeal. It's going to be successful. He'll get another, if it is appealed, he'll go to another trial and he'll be acquitted. Like, that's that's sort of the thought process, and the Duggars, it still hasn't really sunk in yet that this is going to be what it is for the next 10 years. So what are your thoughts? Is this another delay, or is this just they really are onto something, Katie, and he's going to get and win his appeal? Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.